Okay, second last call for check-ins. ZS6 OPS, handheld, portable, standing by.
Are you using a microphone on the handheld?
It makes life so much easier, let me tell you. Okay, nothing else heard there. So we'll do a final call for check-ins. ZS6 Oscar Papa Sierra standing by. I don't think you heard what I said about putting out a message that Zoom is open. Okay, any further check-ins? This is the last caller. Yes, somebody keen up, but no modulation. ZS6 OPS standing by, last call. We got somebody playing games here again. No, still no modulation. ZS6 OPS giving you a final chance. Otherwise, I'm going to proceed. Okay, good stuff. Got you there, Vanna. I wonder what happened to Quibus. He actually did a fair bit of testing with me up until 15 minutes ago. But welcome aboard. Okay, then we'll make this a final call. ZS6 OPS standing by. Right, nothing else heard. Let's move on with regards to the net this week. Good evening, everybody. This is ZS6 OPS on handheld due to the load shedding in the area. Today is Sunday, the 8th of January 2023, and the time is now actually 19:06. So only a minute behind on schedule, and maybe for the benefit of Zoom, I should in actual fact just adjust the manner within which I am actually looking towards the screen. Okay. So for those wishing to join this net using Zoom, you may do so. Zoom is open, and if you do not have the link, please contact me on WhatsApp 082-859-2684, and I'll send you the link with the greatest of pleasure. We usually begin, ZS6 OPS returning. We usually begin with the amateur radio check-ins on the Roodepoort repeater for about 5 minutes before proceeding with the net. So greetings to one and all, and welcome to the net. This net is broadcast every Sunday evening at 1900, and it's broadcast for the benefit of radio amateurs, disaster relief CERT volunteers, members of the public, and any other interested persons. Everyone is welcome to join the net and to participate using either amateur radio or Zoom. I'd like to remind all the amateur radio listeners and licensees who have not checked in that you do not need to be a member of any group or club or to check in or to use the repeater or any of the amateur radio bands. All that is required from you is that you have a valid amateur radio license issued by ECRN, which automatically grants you the right to use any of the amateur bands at any time. There is no need to ask for or be granted permission from anybody else in order to do so. I'd also like to encourage everyone to share the Zoom link used for the weekly net with everyone they know throughout South Africa. Doing so will help us to grow the weekly net and will contribute to disseminating information as far and wide as possible. You must let me know if there's any interference, like I'm being keyed out. Right, ZS6 OPS returning. It's now time to unpack the weekly COVID-19 figures. Globally, the reported COVID-19 figures are at 663,913,426. This is compared to last week's figure of 660,552. sorry, my apologies, 660,552,000. We therefore see an increase of 3,361,000 new cases having been reported in this week, compared to the 3,404,000 reported in the previous week. Week on week, 42,000 compared to the 38,000. That's a decrease of 42,000 in this last week compared to the increase of 38,000 in the previous week. The death toll globally now stands at 6,700,000 compared to the 6,669,000 of the previous week. The deaths globally has increased by 15,000 this week, whereas last week it was 11,000. That's an increase of an additional 3,000 on a week-by-week average. Okay, ZS6IP is returning. Now, unfortunately, the NICD has not updated their website since the 14th of December due to the festive season, so there are no figures to actually report at this moment in time. So we will in actual fact just move on and have a look at Mpox globally. That's now sitting at 84,330 cases as at the 5th of January 2023, compared to last week's 83,000. Again, just an increase of 579 compared to the previous week of 624. South Africa to date is still sitting at 5 confirmed cases, and there are no further cases or any deaths reported at all. One thing that I want to start bringing in on a week-by-week for the time being is just to monitor what is happening with measles. Now, measles at the moment, there is a new outbreak in South Africa, and as at the 6th of January, I must admit that we have been looking at the measles figures probably for the last 12 or 13 weeks. However, I've decided only now to bring it in because I think as the figures and numbers are increasing in the interest of public health, these figures should in actual fact be shared. And of course, for radio amateurs and all other radio listeners, Zoom participants, etc., you need to be able to share this information with your friends, your family, etc. So, as at the 6th of January 2023, South Africa has 318,000 measles cases. Limpopo is leading with 131 cases, followed by the Northwest. I don't know why there's another key after our key, eh? Okay, so my apologies. It seems that this handheld, Hartera, does have a 2 or 3 minute timeout. I wasn't aware of that. I thought I'd lifted it. However, let's just go back to the measles figures. 318 cases nationally, with Limpopo leading at 131 cases and the Northwest at 80. Gauteng province do have a couple of cases, but I haven't actually reported on that. From next week, I will definitely do that. Last week, the figure stood at 297, so there's 21 new cases that have been diagnosed in the last 7 days. Right, ZS6IP is returning. Last week, I reported that despite the massive increase in new COVID-19 cases being reported in China, the World Health Organization also said they were monitoring and keeping an eye on what was going on there. And the South African Health Department had said that there's no need for panic in South Africa following that spike of cases in China itself. This week, however, South Africa has reported that it has discovered the new XBB.1.5, so the X-ray Bravo.1.5 variant in gene sequencing that was carried out by researchers at the Stellenbosch University from a December 27 sample. Now, from the World Health Organization, Maria van Kerkhove, COVID-19 technical lead at WHO, this week has called the XBB 1.5 the most transmissible subvariant detected so far in the pandemic. So I think that is something we'll have to keep our eye out on and just monitor to see what happens with that one. And of course, I think once the NICD start reporting on the figures again, we'll be able to determine whether there is a massive spike in new cases on a week, 2-week average. Right, moving on, ZS6-OPS returning. The death toll from the LP gas tanker blast in Boksburg, which occurred on the 24th of December, has now risen to 39. Now, I think for the benefit of people, there are still several people that are undergoing treatment resulting from the burns received. Some of these patients have been discharged and are being treated at home, whereas others are in actual fact still hospitalized and are even in ICU and in critical conditions. Now, it must be noted that burns is one of the most dangerous sort of situations that you can have when going into hospital, because as the burn might not be the result of your demise, the infection that sets in most definitely is what will take you out, especially on a full burn or full thickness burn. So that is something that needs to be considered and just remembered, and the possibility that the death toll will increase is quite viable at this stage. Talking of tankers, in the last week alone, we've seen 4 tankers, well, not the last week, but from the 24th of December, throughout the country, we have now seen a total of 4 tankers carrying fuel of sorts. Fortunately, 3 of them have been diesel and not LP gas, as we saw in Boksburg. But these 3 new cases in the last week in particular have actually been involved in motor vehicle accidents, where in 2 occasions the tankers actually overturned, and ZS6-OPS returning. So 2 of these tankers did in actual fact overturn, resulting in leaking fuel. And as what we saw in Wadeville, my apologies, where one of them occurred, the other one was in Messina. But in Wadeville, we had the local community come out and start scooping diesel up off of the sidewalk and the gutter on the side of the road. So a lesson hasn't been learned, unfortunately, from Boksburg. The other thing that I wanted to report with regards to the Boksburg blast, Malcolm Midgley from Joburg EMS, now retired, fortunately put out a very, very informative video during an interview with one of the news stations. And personally speaking, I think his message of the evacuation area, where normally it is recommended to be about 800 meters, his comments were it should in actual fact be at 1,600 meters, 1.6 kilometers, or as he says, form an evacuation zone of 1 mile. So that is something, again, I think that should be shared amongst people, especially following what has happened. All right, so on that note, I'm going to end this. I don't know if Adrian, you got anything to add. He's giving me a shake of the head. So I wonder if Vanna, 6SAR, 6JFK have got anything to add. But before we in actual fact do cover anything, let's see if there are any late check-ins. ZS6OP is standing by for your call sign. Okay, nothing else heard. I wonder, Chris and Vanna, if you guys have got anything you want to add or question or otherwise, please give me a call sign and I'll call you in, ZS6OPS. Okay, nothing else heard. There we go. I'd like to thank all of those that have checked in this week, and especially to those that have joined via Zoom. I want to put out a very special thank you to all of our listeners. It's really great to know that you are in actual fact out there. I would in actual fact like to have you call in, check in and all the rest of it so that we can add you to the list and know who you are and where you are and, you know, just interact and all the rest of the good stuff. And in true amateur spirit, be friendly, forthcoming and outgoing. As the COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing, I'd still like to remind you to please physically distance yourself, especially when you are out in public or you are around the elderly. And of course, to wear a mask, especially in front of the elderly, not to protect you, but to protect them, because many of the elderly could lose their lives if they are infected with COVID-19. Remember that it is always best to sanitize or wash your hands on a regular basis in any event, in the third point. And naturally, for the week moving forward, I'd like to say to you, be safe, be prepared, and of course, be happy. This is ZS6OPS releasing 145.625 for general use. Cheers all. There we go. Mr. SJV, how are you? Good evening. I've added you to the list. I wonder how much you actually heard. From ZS6OPS, I'm going to bail out on the next comment from you, as I want to pick things up there with Adrian on Zooms. Go ahead, Abba.
Good afternoon, guys. I actually just heard the last few minutes. I was just scrolling through because I thought it's very quiet. So, you know, I must obviously have a scan function, but I have no idea how it works yet. But anyway, good evening, everybody. No idea who else is out there, but I'm going to be sitting by. We're sitting by on the channel. It is 6 JB, back to you.
All right, good stuff there, Jana. I've just closed the net. I've completed for the night there, so I'm glad you at least heard 2 minutes of it. And of course, WhatsApp has now thrown me off again, so I need to see what in the world is going on here. But anyway, let me get on there with Adrian, so I'll talk to you later. ZS6SJV, ZS6OPS. You'll have to set a reminder on your phone. The net starts at 1900. Just see if I can get this up.
Okay, no problem. I should stand by on the channel if there's anybody else that wants to do chin bag a little bit. Power goes off at 8, so I've got half an hour which I can sit down and chat. All right, all good.
Just hold on, Adrian. I'm going to get me back up in a minute. I see there's messages coming through and that new. Well, I want to stop the recording as well. Last active at 15:29. I think that one I can keep. Now it doesn't want to let me bloody well link the device, you know. Oh dear. All right, so while that there is busy working, you want to unmute there, Adrian?
I've just done it.
All right, cool. I'll stop the recording and then we can chat. I also want you to go and have a look at something, especially while you are at the PC now. I might have to give me a little bit of extra power here. I see I'm down at 51%, so my phone is only holding out there for about 30 minutes. So. This load shedding is knocking me, dude.
Yeah.
How's this new job of yours going there?
It's quite interesting. We've been quite busy, and you have to get on stream again with some new CAD software and understanding the whole setup